Hey everyone, I just wanted to stop by real quick for this podcast starts and say you should like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias at John D. Klauser, literally the same name as the name that you subscribe to on this YouTube channel. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you guys on the other side.
I got that gas, bitch. My drip, bitch. These hands, bitch. What's poppin', bitch? Bet, bitch. You feeling froggy, bitch? What's good with it, bitch? Quit capping, bitch. You coming at me, bitch? It's stitches, little bitch. Try me, bitch. You want to catch these hands, bitch?
Welcome to The John Show with your host, John Doogie Klauser.
All right, yeah, what's up, guys? How are you? What's going on? So I don't even know if I even got that good enough. There we go. How's that? Okay, so what is going on, guys? How are you? There's a bunch of dust now in the air. Probably like I just cleaned. You would think that like all the dust and stuff like that would be gone because I just cleaned. I literally spent the whole morning before I started doing this podcast cleaning. But anyway, how are you guys? So we're here on a new episode of The John Show with your host, me, John D. Klauser. What is up, guys? What is this? Episode 61? Yeah. So, like I said, we're here. How are you? So, like I always do, it's a new week. It's like week 3,427 of COVID. Does COVID even exist anymore? I haven't even talked about it in like months on this podcast. I've just been kind of like, because that used to be a thing. I used to like have like a running joke because I was thinking like when we were in the depths of it, thinking I'm like, oh my, all right, is this how it's going to be for here on out? Because it was like getting cold, and a lot of what we dealt with COVID so far has been in the cold. Well, when we first got it, because it was like last February. And dude, it's so weird. I think about like, in retrospect, we'll be out of it eventually one day. We're not going to have to wear masks anymore. We're going to go back to how life was. There's going to be events. People are going to be making out with each other in the clubs. You're going to be drinking after your friend. Think about that. You're going to be drinking after your friend from a cup in probably like 6 years from now. You're not even thinking about it. You're not even remotely think about, oh yeah, 6 years ago we were in a pandemic. You think? It'll be like 2026. And we'll be like, hey, Sam, can I drink a little bit after your drink? Yeah. Well, thank you. Oh, remember 6 years ago, if you were to ever do that, like we would just get in a huge fight, and we would call each other like, sheep, because like you would get the vaccine, but I choose not to get the vaccine, and we, those kind of stuff. It's like, it's going to be a good time. Just think about it. 2026 will be awesome. It will be great. And it will be, none of us will ever look back on, like, I don't know, just like, I wonder how is it going to be? How are you going to be? How am I going to be for life after COVID? I don't know. Probably same as I was. I was always so self-conscious with germs and like that prior before all this stuff. I'm just like, guys, you guys keep doing all that weird shit. Something's going to eventually happen. Something's going to happen, and you're going to cause some sort of sickness. Something's going to happen. And like, I'm not pointing the finger at anyone. I'm just pointing at fingers at people who just eat weird shit and do weird stuff. I will never get people who eat shellfish. I think shellfish is one of the grossest shit. It's bugs. It's just sea bugs. And you're eating them, and you eat them, and you enjoy it like it's some sort of fucking delicacy. When like, even back when they first were around, like when we first started like fishing for them, like they were nothing. They were cheap food. Like chicken was the expensive meat. Like, was it Roosevelt? Was it ID Hauser? I don't know. Someone was like, I'm gonna try to get chicken, and everyone hell. John, how about we just Google this? Like, because it's not like you don't have a laptop like right in front of you. You guys like that? That's that probably, if anyone's listening, that probably scared the shit out of somebody because they're not used to me doing sound effects on this one. Having chicken in every household. See, you said that. It was President Hoover. He promised voters a chicken in every pot and 2 cars in every garage during the campaign of 1928. Dude, you know what's so crazy? I pulled that. I'm like, I hope to God this was something. I hope to God this was actually a real thing, because I remember, I think it was freshman year. That's like the only year. That was like the last year I cared about school. After that, I just checked the fuck out, because I'm like, oh, I want to be a filmmaker. I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get DVDs and watch the director's commentary. Let alone, what is it? It's a podcast, basically. It's basically a movie with a podcast underneath it, instead of the actual dialogue and all that stuff. So it's pretty much what I'm doing. But yeah, but I was like, yeah, I'm not like, there's no need, but I don't, there's no need for me to like pay attention to anything else. But I do remember in my history class, the teacher talking about that, how there was some election. I just could never remember what election. I'm like, I thought it was Eisenhower, Hoover. Was it? Did I say? I know Roosevelt. I thought it was Roosevelt, the one that rode on the moose. But yeah, I guess it was Hoover, President Herbert Hoover. So that was, pretty. It's pretty interesting, huh? Look at me teaching you guys something, me remembering something that I thought I might have been just talking out of my ass about. So today, guys, I have water. Like, I always look at myself. I always put like 2 or 3 bottles of water up on my desk, like before the show. I'm like, at first I'm like, I did it because I was thinking that it was going to be more of like a prop, and it just like looks more interesting. Like, oh, he has a bunch of water. But then I'm like thinking, like, John, like, if you have to drink that much water during a 30-minute podcast, that just kind of, you need to slow down. Like, something's wrong. Something's really wrong with you. But I'm also drinking, what's so fun? I had Captain Morgan, some Captain Morgan rum. I'm drinking it straight on ice, based on the rocks. Yeah, it all tastes the same. Tequila, gin, like gin's different. Vodka, rum. It's all pretty much the same. It all tastes the same. It doesn't. And the thing is, like, I don't understand people who are like, oh my God, John, I can't believe you just drink your alcohol straight. You just drink it on the rocks. I'm like, guys, what are we hiding from? What are we really hiding from? Like, when you do a chaser, does it really help that much? Does it really? Just sip on it. You know what? It's like the first thing. It's like cardio. It's like anything else. Like, the first couple times it sucks, but you eventually get used to it. And you know what? It goes from like sucking to like just sucks. At least you get rid of some letters. So, that's something. But just fucking, oh God. Yeah. See, I'm not saying go crazy. I'm just saying, and plus too, like, I think of like, mostly I like to think of the fact that if you put water in it, it dilutes it a little bit, softens it up if you're really worried about the taste. But if anything, like, you're diluting it, but you're not diluting it with sugar, a lot of sugar. You're not taking a bunch of sugar, because you're already fucking your body up by putting negative, like, literally, this is like negative stuff you could be putting into your body. So at least, I'm trying over here. I'm trying to be at least like, I'm being the healthy person drinking. Oh, but it's like, what's so funny is, like, I don't know how I got into a little habit of doing this, and like, it's nothing crazy. I'll just drink like a beer, or I'll just drink like like, this is basically like 2 fingers pour. So like, what I do is I'll do like, there's a 3-finger pour, and the 2-finger pour, and then I'll just like put my finger, because this is all glass right here, so I'll just put it right there, and I'll pour that much alcohol in it, and that's it, and I'll just put it on the rocks, and that's it. So it's like, it's just enough to get like a little buzz. And to tell you the truth, I don't drink it until like 1 in the morning, and then I go to bed at 2. It's really weird. Like, I have a really weird routine. So I have to go into work at 11:30, which is like super awesome, and I get off at 8:30. Sometimes it's starting to get like later now, because like my job, like, things are starting to open up a little bit more. So different protocols. So like, there's more things that we have to do now, because when we were in COVID protocol, we couldn't do as much. But now I get to, it's so much more fun. I get to do more things, which is fine. It's not that hard of a job. It's super easy. And it's just basically just to hold me over till like the whole world goes back together, and I can actually start doing more film stuff again. It's like, dude, I was in my dream job, and then COVID, and COVID had to come in and fuck it all up. You know, you work so hard to finally get like a job that you're like, oh fuck yeah, you can just travel, and that's what I was doing. I was just getting to travel all over the United States. I was gonna do some international trips, and COVID came in and fucked it all up. But it is what it is. Hey, you know what? Everything I've ever wanted, and I was even just talking to myself about this the other day, everything I've ever wanted, seriously ever wanted, has never been easy for me. So, what else makes me think that like getting this like film, like finally getting like a dream film job, and then like making it think that like that would be the end all be all, then I've reached my mountain. Because even when I even got that job, I was like, okay, well, I was doing it for a while, and I'm like, okay, this is fun, but I'm like, this is not even going to be my end all be all. Like, this is fun because I've always just wanted to be able to have a time in my life being like, yeah, I traveled across the United States, or I traveled for work. And I always wanted to have a job like that, and I was able to do it with film. And I'm like, fuck yeah! I always assumed I was gonna have to get a corporate job. I was gonna have and that was gonna have to support me while I was still doing my film stuff on the side. And but no, and then I was able to get that job, and it was so fucking crazy awesome. Had a company card, would travel, would fly, and I'm like so used to it because like when I grew up, I flew all the time. Like that's all I did. With my parents, we traveled all over, and so like I was so used to flying, so I have a system down, and I know how to pack really I know how to get the most out of just getting a backpack and something like a throwover bag, because I can get you 2 weeks worth of clothes in that, and I can just certain how I pack and how I roll and what I need and how I do it, dude. It's solid because I just bring my laptop, some chargers, like my cameras. Like my personal camera, and like then I throw in like some clothes, and then how I can like do it. And I'm like, okay, well, I know that like once I get there, like worst case scenario, I can just buy some extra underwear. I can go and get an Uber now, especially it's so much easier now. I know I can go to a Walmart and get some underwear and be done. And like in worst case scenario, I have to throw out some underwear or something like that if I don't have enough room. No big deal. Like I can lose that. I can lose what $20, like 5 pair for $20 underwear. Whatever. So, but yeah, like it was awesome. And then just being because I'm a single guy, just hanging loose and being able to do it like with super fucking long ass hair and a mustache. Like my mustache, I still have it, guys. That's so crazy. Like I grew it, and then I'm like, this is so stupid. And I still think it's super silly. I think it's super silly, one of the funniest like forms of having facial hair. But I'm like, I think once you have one, you start seeing everyone else that has one. Everyone, like you start seeing then you start watching like documentaries, and you see like that guy has a mustache, that cop has a mustache, that sailor has a mustache, and you're like, all these people have mustaches, and like I have a mustache. Like it's like it has to be a male thing that goes on in the evolution of a male, that he has to have a mustache. And so, like, just wait. If you haven't had it yet, you'll eventually will have it. But yeah, it's stupid. It's silly. If you can't really tell, guys, I really don't have really much to talk about this week. I have a laundry list of stuff. I always have a laundry list of stuff, but I never like use it at all. I'm just always like, you know what? Don't make it easy for yourself at all, John. Let's just, talk off the cuff of your head and see what you can do, and just riff. And the thing is, it's like. What is this? Is this even entertaining? Is this fun? Interesting at all? No, I don't. Who knows? But you guys want to hear a funny story? I don't know if it's really funny or if it's just an interesting story, because it's just like, I don't know why this. It was more or less. Let me explain it. So it was more or less a story of like, why are you sharing this story with me? I don't look like a person that you. Okay. I know how I come off. I come off like of a very like, I don't like to admit it, but I feel like I kind of come off like I have to do a lot of goofy stuff, or like, cause I can be very stoic and very quiet and just very like even keeled, and I can just stand there. I can stand in a spot and not talk, and I can just look out, and I'm just like, in my head, I'm having a great time because I'm like thinking of stuff. I'm trying to think of like a bridge to like an idea. for like how am I connect cabbage with like a screwdriver? Like how am I going to connect these two things? And because I'm just thinking, I'm just like, and then I'm like, I'll just grab my phone. I'll just like write an idea down, and I'll just put my phone down, and I'll put it back up, and I'll just like kind of stand there, and I'll think about it for a while, kind of like rub my hands together, put my hands in my pockets, and I'm just like kind of thinking, and I'll kind of pace, and I'll just like eventually like I'll start like kind of like mumbling to myself because I'm like thinking of like something like this, and I'm like, well, I could do like like, well, how about if I talk about like you know high school, and then I can talk about going and traveling a bunch, and like then I'm like doing like that, but that's and then so I can just be like that, and so I feel like I come off kind of, and I'm like I'm bigger, muscular guy, so I probably come off like I'm just very stoic looking, and so because of that, and I feel like stoic is such like I feel like it's such a positive description of someone. I'm not really even trying to be that positive of myself. Like I really don't think I'm like even deserve the word stoic, but I'm like I think that's the best thing that works for it. But so I don't even know what else. Like, what was it? Okay, so like at my job, like, so like, yeah. So when I was talking, this was so crazy. Like, I saw like a message come in because like I'm doing a podcast after this podcast. Because I'm driven. I do a lot of hard stuff. I'm someone who you should model yourself after. Don't model yourself after. I'm 32 years old. I sit on the third floor of a mansion, talking to a microphone, looking into a camera, which I never really look into anymore. I just kind of like look around. I'm just kind of like all over the fucking place now, which is crazy. Which either says like I'm either getting more comfortable or like I just don't give a shit. But it means I don't give a shit. It's like I'm just like, let's just talk. Let's just go. Let's just do it. Like if you're coming here and you're gonna listen to this, I guess you're coming to listen to me talk. You don't want to. Well, I'm and yeah and like and. Like I'm trying to give you a full blown fucking thought here. I'm trying here, guys. I'm trying. But so I was at work, and like I said, like I don't understand like why anyone would want to like tell me any kind of like story about themselves. I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me because I just don't feel like I'm like that kind of person that you can be like, oh yeah, and I could be like, yeah, and we can have like this conversation about. I don't know if that says more about me or I don't know. Like does it say that I'm stupid, or does it say that like I'm just being honest and I'm like I'll just be like I don't know, because like I'm trying to think of my own stuff. I'm trying to think of my own like stories. I'm like, because when I hear that, I'm like, why don't you use that for a story? Like that's like the easy the beginning of a premise of a story or something. Why aren't you using that for something? And so, but what happened was like, so I was taking the trash out at my job, and this coworker was out there and he was smoking a cigarette, and he was like, John, like, I'm not the young whippersnapper that I once was. I'm like, I get that. I feel that. He's like, yeah, I just have to take it a little bit slower now. And like, he's like, sometimes my side hurts. And I'm like, your side hurts? He's like, yeah. There was this one time in my life where I was homeless, and these two guys mugged me. And I was sleeping outside, and like one of them like kicked me on the side, and like every once in a while like my side will hurt. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah. I mean that sucks. Like it's like I don't know how to relate to that. Very few things of me know how to relate to that, and like I understand how to be like an orphan, and that's like semi-homeless, but I've never had anyone kick me on my side because of being homeless. So, I don't know. I don't know. And so I'm just like, okay. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, I'm like, that sucks, man. I'm like, I don't, yeah, I don't know. I can't relate to anywhere of what you're talking about. I have no idea. So I was just standing there. I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to go back inside. And so I went back inside, and that was it. And I'm just like thinking, I'm like, the rest of the day, I was like, why did he tell me this story? What am I going to do with this story? And I'm like, well, I guess I'll just have to talk about it on the podcast, because I'm like, nothing else has happened this week. Like, so much happened last week, and I was so all over the place with all of like all like in the sense of like stories and interacting with people. But now I'm like this week I'm just like nope, I got nothing, guys. I got nothing in that sense because I just try to hang low now. Like I'm like, oh my sweet, I got all my stuff done, all the weird shit I have to get done. I can just hang the fuck low and I can just be away from things and just think and do it. I'm working on a Western. Is that interesting? So I'm really interested in the Pony Express. I've always been super interested in the Pony Express, and so I've always had this premise about a young guy who was an orphan, and he wanted to, and he was just it was during the time of like when the Pony Express was happening, and he just got a job at Pony Express, and then I'm like okay, and like that's basically where I stopped. I never went anything else with that premise. Like that was just basically the idea. It was kind of like I guess what you could say a bathroom pitch almost, where it was just almost a couple lines and then that was it. It didn't get depth into it. It didn't go in depth of what the story would actually be. But yeah, so I've been working on that a lot lately. I've been kind of thinking, because I'm like, I don't know if I want to add like a love story. I don't know if I just want to use an epic, like an epic, like a gun battle with like this cowboys and Indians kind of thing, and kind of almost show an homage to like where I grew up and how I grew up from the people who adopted me, kind of thing. It would be like kind of like a quiet homage. I don't know if I want to focus more on just like the story of actually like Pony Express. So like, it's just been all over the place kind of thing. And like, so like, that's really what I've been working on. So like sometimes, some days I'll work on like, okay, what if I wanted this film to be strictly on the history of the Pony Express? I'll Google, I look up some videos and I write stuff down and I kind of like figure out. So then like I have a whole laundry list of stuff. So, and then I'll go back over the laundry list of stuff and then I'll take like 5 of them and I'll move them back down to another format. And in that format, then I'm like, okay, well, is there any way I can take any of this stuff and throw it into the story, into my story? And then I'm like, yeah, there's like 3 of them. And so I move them back. So I move those 3 down. And so then I look at that. I'm like, does any of these 3 work happily? Like, or is there any way that I can maybe add something that didn't make it in the very first round? Can I add it into one of the other ones that makes it like a little bit bigger and a little bit better? And then that's like, I basically just flush out the whole story. It is the longest process to write a story for me because like I have to do that because I'm just not naturally like gifted in the sense of like being able to tell a story. Like I have to tell the story and know what the story is before I can even tell anybody what a pitch is. Like before even like someone's like, oh, what are you working on right now, John? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm working on a movie about the Pony Express where it deals with like the coming of age of a young man who is dealing with the acceptance of being abandoned and trying to find love. Before I can even get there, I have to flush all these ideas out because I can't just be like, I can't give you this pitch. And it takes about, I would say 2 to 3 weeks for that to happen. It is the most roughest process, and I'm just sitting there. But once I get through the roughage part is the hardest because what you're doing is like, think of like going through like the jungle and you have a machete and you're just chopping down. So you're just like, okay, I have an idea here, I have an idea there, and you're just chopping them down and you're just putting them piles, and then you're like, okay, well, let's go back and look at these piles. Is there anything in here that you can take from the first pile? Not really. Go to the second pile. It's just over and over and over and over again, and you get really, and the thing is like I can only imagine how it feels for someone who wins an Oscar, because Oscars just happened yesterday. Nomad won. I called it. I knew it was going to happen. I knew that movie was going to win. Because it was such a down year, and so any movie that got a lot of traction, I felt was going to be the movie that was going to be the one that wins just by default because it's the only one that anyone knows. So like it was like Tiger King. Everyone knows Tiger King. Like, so it's one of those. So if like a Best Picture could get like that kind of publicity, it's going to be able to ride the whole year because it's going to be like, well, because not a lot of stuff's going to come out in 2020. So it's just how it was, man. I feel bad for people who made shit this year, and it got ruined. Just got fucking fucked. Like someone had a great think about that. Someone made like their idea that they've been working on for many of years since like they were like a 10-year-old kid. They had this idea and they've been just building on it, like basically what I've been telling you about for years. And then this was the year, and they released it in 2020, and then they just got fucked in the ass because COVID. No fault of their own. Think about that. Think about an artist who did that, and like that was like, this is gonna be my film. This is gonna be my movie. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad. I'm like, thank fucking God, I'm still in the fucking hangar, just writing. Thank God. That's like one of the gleaming biggest moments I had this year was that. But yeah, so you just like, it's filmmaking. It's the great part. I don't really talk about it that much. I should talk about filmmaking a lot more because that's all I think about is movies. You're not doing enough, John. Movies. You need to be doing more work. Movies. You need to be the best. Movies. John, like you should try to be like a Quentin Tarantino. Movies. But it's gonna be really cool because like what's so awesome is because I really got the idea down for my next movie. It's not even a really next movie. It's just a script. It's like, it's so different. It's like I have my movies that I can actually make. This is a thing that I would not be able to make unless I had at least a couple million. I would have to have like 500,000 to be able to do this. To tell you the truth, I don't even know how I'd be able to fund this movie. The idea that I'm spending all this time on. And that's also the fun thing too. It's like I'm spending enough time on it where I'm like, oh, this is like at least productive, but I'm also not like devoting my whole life to it because I couldn't even be able to write this script and then make it. I would have to sell it. It's one of those kind of things, which is fine, but those are like in the back corner that stay there for a while, and like I pull them out all the time, like, but no one ever sees that I'm pulling that out. I'm pulling it out and I'm doing it. I'm crafting that all by myself, and I just put it back away, and then I come back and I do something like this, like a podcast, which is super easy to produce, super easy to make. It costs me no money, and yeah, and then I just get it done. Oh, one last thing. I have like 2.5 minutes left, and I think it's just enough time to argue about this and talk about this. Okay, something I noticed this week with people. So you know how every week I'm trying to do something. I try to notice. When I was in college, I had this class where like every week, it was a writing class. Every week you had to come in and you had to have 3 things that you noticed, and everyone shared them. It had anything, no matter if it was good, bad, or whatever. And like if it wasn't good, it bombed, and like the teacher was like, okay. He was this Jewish guy who ended up becoming a bestseller on the New York Times. So he's legit. And so something I noticed this week was that, like, what's the deal with people getting upset about or not eating dark meat versus white meat on chicken? It's chicken. It's all meat. It's chicken. God damn it! It's a bird. It's a fucking velociraptor. That used to be a velociraptor. That used to be a fucking dinosaur. That chicken. So why are you complaining so much about this? It's dumb. It's silly. Take the piece of meat, you eat it, and enjoy it. You know why? Do you see? We're in a pandemic. We're in a pandemic, and you're still able to be like, I don't like dark meat, chicken. I'm only going to eat white meat. It's like, it all tastes the same. It really does taste the same. Because what you can do, you're going to eat the chicken all the same way. Eat it with some hot sauce. Boom. You know why? Because at the end of the day, it's going to fill your stomach up. You're going to be done. Stop being a dickhead about white meat versus dark meat. It all tastes the same. I will sit here. I know I sit alone on a lot of these food things. I get it. I understand. And I will be the patriot who dies, and I'll be the what's his name? General Custard. And this will be my last stand. I'll be the one who dies on this. White meat, dark meat, all tastes the same on chicken. Sorry. That's it. But hey, if you guys like this podcast, please give it a thumbs up. I have about like 30 seconds left. So like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you guys on the next episode. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think this might have gotten to me a little bit. I feel pretty loosey-goosey. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Be safe. Wash your hands. Get vaccinated if you want to. Hey, I got mine in, I'm like 2.5 months out. Nothing. I feel great. Awesome. Of course, knock on wood. Not like anything. Please, just be safe, guys. Wash your hands. Be safe. Get vaccinated if you want to. All right. Bye.